There we go. All right. And again, thank you everyone for joining today's user group. It's our November Eloqua user group meeting. My name is Kristin Connell, and I will be your group leader today. Let's see a little bit about me. So I have been in the marketing, technology, marketing operations, marketing automation space for quite a while. I have had the opportunity to earn multiple Eloqua certifications over the years, actually in the Eloqua world specifically since 2007, so a few years. And also was a Oracle Marquee Award winner for Metrics That Matter a few years ago. Besides being a MarTech nerd, I am definitely a data nerd as well. My favorite areas of Eloqua continue to be old school program builder, data tools and custom data objects, program canvas and campaign canvas. I mean, that whole drag and drop, love it. But there is just something about that old school tech that I enjoy still. I am the mom of two, ridiculously amazing college kids up here in the far right, my tall blonde giants. I have two insanely cute mini Aussie doodles, Loki and Luna. They keep me quite busy. And then I live on a river's bend in the foothills of Kansas. So this is a view of the river bend itself from my backyard. And this is actually a picture out as the river continues down its path, a sunrise shot of it with the fog in the morning. So I am also kind of a sunrise photography junkie. So anyway, I just wanted to share those with you, a little bit more about me. So today's agenda, we will do, we're going to dive right into community reminders. There's some good stuff there. Important updates that were shared in the October 2023 release webinar, also highlights for the Eloqua 23D release, also shared in that webinar. And I'm highlighting and spotlighting and pointing you directly to where Eloqua's product management team has done just a tremendous job in giving us more information on all of that. And then Sojourn, Steve McConnell, he's joining us here today. He will be presenting on his solution for automating naming conventions using Eloqua plus CRM integration. And I have to tell y'all, please stick around. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I got goosebumps when he presented it to our team. It's just one of those solutions where you're like, wow. So highly recommend being here for that. My stuff's only going to be like 10-15 minutes, and then I'll hand it over to Steve. And then we'll go into our open forum if you have any questions, if you have any topic ideas, etc. And then we'll just highlight when our next meeting is. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Oh, and also, yeah, if you, thank you for the reminder. If you have any questions as we're going, please feel free to drop them either into the Q&A. Let's see. And I will be monitoring that as we go through, and we're happy to answer questions as we go. So please don't be shy. We'd love to see you, love to see the questions there. All right, so community reminders. First three here. The Eloqua top line of community. If you're not currently in this at least once a week, I highly recommend it. I have the URL here, and I will be actually sharing the I will be sharing the URL for the community as well as the release reminders page, specifically the release center, which is the second one listed here. Jody Mooney is listed there as the contact. She does an excellent job in helping to support that community in the product management area of all of that. And then on the far right, we also have our previous Eloqua user groups, and we have all those posted in the sojournsolutions.com resources center. So you're welcome to go back and check any of those out. I think we actually have back since we've started our virtual Eloqua user group, which has been a couple years now. Let's see, moving on. 3 additional great resources: free user training in Eloqua's Help Center. So when you're in the Eloqua application and you go to help, and it brings up specific article content how-tos, there's videos on how-tos. Highly recommend as a tier 1, tier 2 potential level of support to hit up the support center. You can also, if you are new to Eloqua, or if you have team members that are new to Eloqua, or maybe just feel like they need a refresh, the Eloqua Explorer badge is available through the MyLearn path and Oracle University. I have that URL here. I'm happy to share that out. Just let me know if you'd like me to actually pop it into chat or into the, yeah, I think into the chat. And then also Oracle's own Eloqua YouTube channel. Also with some great content out there, recommend bookmarking that if you're looking again for yourself or for your team to get upskilled. Okay, let's see, have a quick question here. Okay, well, and John, we will get to that. Absolutely, great question. Let me just move us forward here before we do. So I called out important updates. So this is not specifically, then we'll get to the 23D release information. So the release center, the Topliners community has a ton of product notices in it right now. Also, I wanted to call out some specifically that were brought up by the product team in the October webinar. And I have just a little bit more information on those here. The Apple iOS 17 tracking changes, not affecting Eloqua specifically, but there's definitely important to know. We're in the industry, and it's something that we need to be aware of in case there are any impacts down the road with that. Changes coming to Gmail. I actually have a slide on that one. I'll share a little bit more. And actually, I have slides on these other three too. So let me just move forward. So again, I talked about the product notices. So specifically, outside of the release center and the release notices themselves, there's just a lot going on in the Eloqua platform right now. Some great product release information. I actually have that URL. I'm going to share it here in the last slide, and I'll drop it into the chat so everyone can bookmark that if you don't currently have it bookmarked. And I'm going to go through these relatively quickly, because what I'm going to point you to within the Release Center is the on-demand webinar, where I think there's at least half a dozen, maybe more, of the Eloqua's product management team are talking about each area very specifically and addressing it in detail. I wanted to call these out to make sure that if it's something of interest to you, or if it's something now or coming up as you're going through your planning, that you make sure that you make a note so that you can get back in and check that out. Again, the Apple iOS 17 tracking changes, they called out here that Eloqua links are not affected. I do think it's something that, again, as marketers in an industry where we're doing a lot of email marketing, this is something that we need just to stay abreast of. Okay, so the changes to Gmail, definitely a little bit more hands-on with this. Again, the product team does a great job getting into this, and they have a lot of more information in the community on exactly what this is, what the impacts will be, and what you need to do. I do just, again, have this quick shot. In preparation for this, if you haven't already, ensure that your org is running on a dedicated IP, your proper authentication and validation with that you are running an out-of-the-box subscription link or the intermediary and subscribe page that was released in 23B, and that you're implementing an opt-in strategy for your email sending. 3 key points. If you're good on all those, move forward. If you think that you might have some challenges or you want to confirm that, definitely feel free to reach out and we can help guide you through any of that as well. All right. And then I had to spotlight this. I think it's awesome. I love hearing about this from our Eloqua product management team. If you were on the webinar, you've already heard it, but what they are doing is they've started leveraging embedded machine learning for specific areas of the platform to improve usability and performance. So in these areas specifically, auto opens, auto clicks, form spam submission, form spam protection, and more coming soon. The machine learning is being applied to help, kind of remove or alleviate some of the heavy lifting, either mentally and or manually, that you've just had to do, that we've all had to do to date. And so I wanted to call that out. It'd be interesting if any of you have seen any of the impact of that. Definitely feel free to share. But I wanted to call that out as something that's going on and keep an eye on. It's also something that you can include, as an optimization factor if you're looking at your roadmap with Eloqua. I think it brings a lot of value there. All right, so I'm going to clear this out real quick because I actually wanted to take this URL and not. I meant to get QR codes, but I did not get those posted. So this is the URL. I'm putting it into chat now to, let's see, I need to put that out to everybody. That is the URL for the full release center. It has all the product notices in it. Let me flip over to where that is. So in the release center, you're going to see all the release information, what's coming up, highlights for the 23D release, that schedule, and then you get to all the information on the product notices here. Again, all these are live links. Feel free to check out the release center and get in here and look at the product notices to see what's going on, whether it's information, again, that's applicable to you now based off of functionality that you're leveraging, or that potential functionality that you might be looking to leveraging for next year. It's good to keep an update on that. The other part of this that I love, and I didn't get all the way down to, is that if you want to get a hold directly of Eloqua product management, they do have the ability to do that and leave a comment down here at the bottom of the release center. So you're able to do that right here in the tool and have that tracked. All right, so back to slideshow. So that's it on the product notice info. I want to slide now into the highlights from the 23D release. We're going to take a look at some of these very specifically. First of all, the 23D release dates, like this is the last day, goes through tomorrow. And then that's for pod 8. All other pods have gone through this 23D. So if you have any questions on that, you can go back in, like I said, in the release center. It gives very specifics, what was done and when. And again, great information to have. It also actually, I believe, in the release center right now gives you heads up on the next scheduled releases and gives you some dates for those as well. So this particular release, I love. It's coming out. I can't wait to get into it. It's in controlled availability. I'm going to show you how to get access to that because you do not have to submit an SR. Yay! This is one of those where the community asked and Eloqua delivered in terms of having an Eloqua Zoom app for Eloqua. If you're using the current Zoom app, you know that there are some hiccups depending on what your business use cases might be. I believe from what I've seen, this addresses most, if not all of those. But it's something that you can just do natively with Oracle's own app here. I'm going to show you while I'm here where that is. I'm going to flip back over to the release center. And here is the Zoom app controlled availability. Okay, so I'm going to share this for any of you who have not yet, seen. Why can I not copy? There we go. Who have not seen it. There is the, whoops, it thinks I want to post there. Click the right button, Kristin. There we go. So there, I just put into our user group chat the link directly to the information from Oracle on the controlled availability. Within that page, there's actually another page here that allows you to sign up for it. I'm going to share that as well because I'm just into shortcutting this if we can for everyone today. I know everyone has a lot going on. So there you go. So that first link was the full release center. The second link there was the actual details for the Oracle's Zoom app for Eloqua. And then the third one is this page here that allows you to register for the CA there. So that's all shared. Let me see, let me get back up to slideshow. Awesome. All right, then also with the 23D release, continued enhancements with the user experience with Eloqua's Redwood. it's now available, the switch to Redwood to all users. It will appear in this left-hand side menu. When you're actually in the platform itself, you can switch between Redwood experience and the classic screens. You no longer have to opt into that. So you can see here all of the different areas of the tools that have been included in the Redwood release to date, and that it's just going to be ongoing. So again, in the release center has more details there. Definitely recommend digging into that. And then the other that I'm highlighting, and really I just picked these first three. Recommend you getting into all of them if you haven't already, but the addition to Insight of deliverability reporting, excuse me, there is a new standard report for delivery rate analysis, as well as a new standard report for deliverability overview by ISP. So I'm not actually going to pull up the reports themselves. There's some screenshots here that product management provided in the webinar. However, if deliverability is not something that you've paid much attention to this year, or that you're planning to for next year, highly recommend checking these out. Obviously, we do a lot of work with email marketing to get campaigns out the door, and ensuring that they're actually delivered into an inbox, in front of your actual audience, is just one more step there. And it just becomes more important as things are tightening up, as we looked earlier at things like the Gmail functionality that may be released in February, etc. So highly recommend digging into this and adding it into your end of year plans, or early next year. Okay, let's see the other part. Let's see, I already gave you the Release Center link. I also wanted to give you specifically the link for the 23D release, because it's on that page, but it has its own link as well. There's a lot of great content in that. What I want to show you and call out right here, because I've mentioned it a few times, in October, when they did the 23D release webinar, the product management team, they record those sessions, and they have it here in the Release Center. If you scroll down, when you're in the Release Center, you scroll down just here and see this Oracle 23D Release Center info. It's the on-demand recording. It'll take you right to it, and you will be able to just soak all that in, take the notes you need to take, and get those applied to, like I said, your plans now or your upcoming plans. All right, so with that, I'm going to flip back over to slideshow mode, and I have now excited, I get to introduce Steve. So for those of you who haven't met Steve McConnell at Sojourn, he's been with us for 2 years as a marketing automation consultant. He has over 7 years of Eloqua experience, 10 years overall marketing. He is specializing in marketing ops, sales enablement, CRM integration, system data management, MarTech nerd, data nerd. Sorry, Steve. Same monikers apply there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I knew you wouldn't mind. Certified specialist with Eloqua. He absolutely loves training and getting Eloqua users empowered to do new and exciting things. Can testify to that whenever he presents in one of our team calls a solution like he's presenting to y'all today. Everyone is just 100% tuned in. There's no multitasking going on. Steve's located in London, in the UK. He did spend some time in SoCal. And as he noted here, he enjoys making Eloqua do backflips. And I kind of think you did that with this solution you're going to be presenting for us coming up, Steve. I think that's a good way to put it. So
yeah, it was a fun one.
To you.
Thank you, Kristin.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Nice to meet those of you I've not met before. My name is Steve McConnell. Yeah, if I could get the screen share, Kristin, and I will go ahead and got a little deck here. All right. So I'm going to start off today, guys, just with the problem statement that we were trying to solve with this. As marketers, we've all dealt with naming conventions at various points. The reason that we needed to enforce a naming convention here was that, we use it to aid in reporting. Larger organizations, particularly if you're running multiple instances of Eloqua, or if you're doing emails in Eloqua and other tools at the same time, you need a way of kind of unifying things in a reporting system and understanding them. So problem statement, our organization uses a naming convention to aid in reporting and organization of our assets. When campaigns are created in Eloqua, they must abide by the convention on the next slide, not below. This process is facilitated currently using Excel spreadsheets. The process is liable to error. Often people will apply the naming convention incorrectly. We want a way to automate this and ensure campaigns are named correctly every time. So again, this is a pretty common statement that a lot of organizations are in, but we had ways of solving this for this particular client because of their tech setup, which uses Eloqua and Salesforce. So just to take an example of one of the naming convention names and how it's put together, this is what the marketers were expected to do in naming their campaign assets, emails, and everything in Eloqua. Subvertical is the first node in the naming convention. Brand is the next one. Date, region, and then friendly name. You guys will have all seen something like this before, and you can imagine the spreadsheet that you would have with the drop downs, and it kind of helps you construct that name. And you'll have all struggled with that process, not been able to find the spreadsheet, forgotten to do it, all the kinds of various things. But this is very important, and this is the thing that the client needed to have enforced in all of the campaigns. So we managed to automate that. And the way we did that started with, and I will show you how to do this in the tool yourselves in a minute, but we started off with the campaign fields in Eloqua. If you imagine the drop-down menus you would have had in your naming convention Excel spreadsheet, we basically just took those same drop-downs and put them as campaign fields in Eloqua and made them mandatory. So campaigns cannot be activated in this instance of Eloqua until you select these values from the drop-down. So that was the first step. The second step involves using a trick, using the Salesforce integration. So this Eloqua instance is integrated with a CRM called Salesforce, which you may have heard of. You might be using a different CRM, but the idea could work the same in a different CRM. What we do is when we create a campaign in Salesforce, we pass over, there's two fields in Salesforce for names. There's, in this particular client's case, they're both called name, which isn't very helpful. You could have something like Eloqua name and main campaign name, main campaign name and Eloqua, say marketing campaign name, Eloqua campaign name, whatever it was. The point is, instead of just passing a field value from the campaign in Eloqua into Salesforce, we're concatenating together the campaign field selections and turning that into a little string with hyphens in between them. And that is what goes into Salesforce, into that field called name. So it's not one field, it's all the fields put together combined with delimiters passed over to Salesforce. So that creates the naming convention, right? Because you're just taking the values that the person selected, like they would have done in the Excel spreadsheet, put hyphens in between them, over it goes. Now in Salesforce, the Salesforce campaign has the correct name now. It's been changed. Now we need to get it back into Eloqua and change the Eloqua campaign name. Again, this is a bit confusing because of the way the fields are named, but this is the field where the naming convention name goes, name_C. This is the field where the friendly name goes, just name. On the next step, and I will go through this and demonstrate it for you, we have a filter, first of all, looking for campaigns where the naming convention has been filled out. That's what that filter means, where it says like percentage underscore percentage hyphen. That's like, has someone actually filled out the name and selected all the fields? When they have, we take those two fields back from the Salesforce campaign, we swap them around. So that The string we created goes onto the Eloqua main campaign name, and the original name that was created, which is just a short friendly string, goes onto a field called sales and marketing campaign name in Eloqua. And the result of that is we have a nice little string, like you can see here, based on all of the campaign fields that were filled out. And just to show you a demonstration of this, I believe my settings are correct. Can you guys see pink Eloqua? Is that working, Kristin? Yeah. Okay. So this is a campaign that I created before the session. I just gave it just a brief little friendly name that, you know, I didn't have to think about. There's no convention. I just put it in and I filled out my fields. I then have to wait for the integration to, oh, I can't see the button to close this. I then have to wait, you know, 15 minutes or so for the integration to pick it up. And if I refresh the page, it'll hopefully not embarrass me in front of all you lovely people.
You can blame me. I asked for the.
Oh God, it actually didn't work. Oh wow, that's really embarrassing. Yeah, so really embarrassingly, it didn't actually work this time. So I maybe haven't given it enough time because I did create it just before the webinar. It takes 15 minutes to sync, but I can show you another example of one. Here's one where the original name would have just been Tech Bio Event UK 2023, and then this has been automatically created. It does work, I promise. So yeah, that's the actual, that's the result. Now, just to recap, because those PowerPoint slides may not have been very clear. So just to recap exactly how we set this up. The first thing that you have to do is go to your campaign fields and set what your dropdowns need to be. So we would go into fields and views, we'd open up the campaign fields, and this is where we can add any fields that we want to have to make them mandatory. You can say campaign field is required. So for example, on region, that campaign field is required, which means you can't activate the campaign until that field is selected. One of the tricks we did to make it do the little code language in the name is we used pick lists with different display values and data values. So when someone is actually creating a campaign, the values they have to select from are quite clear. So email, telemarketing, banner ads. If I go to custom fields and look at some of these values, which are proprietary, so probably shouldn't, but it's very clear to the user what they're doing. The result is a little short code. So that's another way we kind of, you know, prevent complexity with this solution, is by being careful about the pick lists and how we set those up. Once you've set up your pick lists, you need to go into the Salesforce integration app to do the kind of magic field swappy bit, which I'll show you now.
Wait, what was that? Magic field swappy?
Magic field swappy bits. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm choosing.
I love
to
that.
call it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So there's two parts to this. The first part is your normal create campaign action. If you are using this part of the integration, the way it works is create campaign in Eloqua, automatically creates campaign in Salesforce. Any activities that happen in the campaign are synced across. That's the idea with this bit of the app. So on our create action, it's all normal. We pass the Eloqua name to Salesforce name. And then this is where we create our little string. So I'll show you how I did this. If I want to add a mapping, normally I just map a field, CRM ID to active, right? You can change this to something called advanced mode. And now I can make a string. So I could say Eloqua field, I'm going to select date, whatever that means, description maybe. And then I can put some text in here, just some custom text, put date in, so current date, plus 3 days, all kinds of interesting things you can do. What we did is we just got those fields, those campaign fields, and put them in a little string and put them in a field called name _C. So again, not a very helpful name, but that's what we're doing. So that's first part. That's how we send the name to Salesforce. Then to get it back into Eloqua and have Eloqua automatically change the name, We have an import, which looks to have maybe failed on that one I did, which is kind of embarrassing, as I say, but I can still show you how it works.
It's a learning opportunity. That's all. It's
a learning opportunity, yes. So the first thing about this import, which is important to note, is that it's there's a filter on it, and it only will look for campaigns where the name is like this little bit of regex here. What this little bit of regex means is you have to have actually filled out the fields, because as you guys know, when you create a campaign in Eloqua and save it, you might not have filled out the fields yet. So we don't want anything to happen until you've finished doing all the fields. So that's what this filter does, is prevent anything from being renamed until all the fields have been selected, which somebody has to do before they activate the campaign. Then what we do is we just basically map these wrong, essentially. So this is the name that we created with the string in it. That's what we put on Eloqua main campaign name, which then gets overwritten. And the original name, the friendly name, is saved on a field called sales and marketing campaign name. And that's the original name that you typed in when you first created the campaign. I'm going to really push my luck here. I'm just going to go back and see if that campaign's working. I would really like it to have worked, because the client who's using Eloqua is on the webinar, and so we'll have to go and have a look at it if it didn't work. And it doesn't look like it did, so yeah, I'll give you a call after this, Kevin. But it does work, I promise. And that's how it's set up. So awesome. It's a little bit complex, but that's how it works. And yeah, I probably did something wrong, which is why it hasn't worked, to be honest. Because I just set it up before the webinar. Well,
and that the potential complexity and yes, it's definitely more than like opening up a Google sheet. But if you think about how much troubleshooting you all have to do, and I know I have to do even today, when campaigns are not named correctly, if you have like on your back end, like, and we're not even talking about in Eloqua and Salesforce, how difficult and the difficulties that creates. But if you have your analytics getting pulled through into like a BI tool, and the filters are set based off specific parameters to help to determine, not just performance of the campaigns, but, even down to like the ROI costs and pipeline revenue associated, but those dependencies are based off of how your campaigns are named to get everything flowing correctly, then then the downstream can be extremely messy and very difficult to troubleshoot, honestly. I just things
thought going into Tableau. Yeah, that's when it gets messy. In Eloqua, you can kind of just find stuff, but once it gets out of Eloqua, it's like, well, I can't use recently modified. I can't use created by me. I need a way to find it. So.
Yeah. So excellent. Well, Steve, thank you so much. Thanks for diving in kind of, and I know I was like ad hoc. Can you just like do it live?
Yeah, no problem.
So I appreciate it.
I think it's probably a timing issue. I'll look into that now, but yeah, it's worked fine since we implemented it. Yeah. Now there is a slight twist in the tale, which is that this particular client actually didn't want the Salesforce name to end up being encoded in that way. They want the Salesforce name to stay as the friendly name, because that's the one that sales will recognize and be able to work with. They don't want the little code thing. That's kind of an extra feature, which would probably be too complicated to talk about on this call, but it can be done. And so if that's something that anyone is thinking, oh, it's like, this would be great, but I don't want to change the Salesforce name, I only want to change the Eloqua name, that can be done. So that's something you can talk to us about. Okay, I'm just going to go and
I think someone's going to challenge you here, maybe, Steve. Let me see. It says, thanks for sharing this great process. I'd like to challenge you to take it a step further and see if there is a way for us to use a landing page with a form with specific drop-down fields for the required values. And then when they submit the form with all the required values, it posts to a CDO, and from there pulls the values from the CDO to create a campaign in Salesforce. Did you look at it?
Yeah, there's a line in episode of Futurama, which is, I thought of a way, the way I just said. So perfect. Yeah. So what you suggested there will work fine. So fill out form, formats to CDO. Now you've got a set of fields with values in them, and you just create a custom object record program, which will take those rows of data and treat them like a contact, basically. And you send them to a program with an integration call in it, which you set up to map from that CDO to the campaign object in Salesforce. And every time you submit a form, go through the process and go and create a campaign. So yes, you could do that.
Awesome. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Great point. All right. All right. If there's no other questions here, then I think I can release you. From your
Juicies.
going through here. Let's see. Actually, we may have something else. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
Here. All right. Let me get back. I'm gonna do the share. We'll get back into the wrap up here. All right. And actually, so thank you, Steve. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to post them on that. And also I will, in the follow-up email with the details there, I can give you some information on how to follow up with any other questions you might have. So open forum, I did have a question early on that I wanted to, yeah, oh yeah, Brooke, absolutely, thank you. I wanted to bring up, okay, so, oh, did you answer this already, Steve? Okay, cool. So the question that John had, so this is just an open question for the crew here. Would love to get impressions on Eloqua subject line optimization. Wonder if anyone has tested their first pass SL against another version that Eloqua deems above average. So Steve, you addressed that here you addressed it here in the QA.
Yeah, I had just a couple of suggestions around testing subject lines, which people seem to like. One of which was around you creating a word cloud, which sounds really naff and unimportant. But the reason you might do it is to see, you basically take your top 10% performing subject lines by looking at open rate, and then your bottom 10% performing subject lines by taking open rate. Make a word cloud of each one, and maybe a word cloud on average just to even it out, and just look at the words that are appearing. And if you find in your badly performing emails, sell is a huge, great big word in your word cloud, then that gives you an indication that that word is maybe not something you should use. The reason I throw that out there is just because otherwise it's really, really hard to think of, to quantify how words in your emails might affect something. It's so subjective that that's one of the only ways we've been able to quantify it. Something else just to check, because people often forget to check it because it's just, it's easy to forget, is the length of your subject line. If your email subject line is too long, people won't be able to see it because it will just cut off. Would welcome any contribution from anyone attending the webinar in the chat about what they think or they have done or seen success with on email subject testing lines. I think really with testing, you just got to start doing it, and that will lead to more. Just think an idea, like we did in the science class. Write down your hypothesis. I think if I do this, then this will happen. Do it. See if it does. Think of the next thing to test.
Yeah.
But yeah, well.
You get much closer to that. It's not rocket science, but yeah, now it kind of is ish. Okay, so John says, testing a control that we think is going to perform against what Eloqua thinks will perform well. I'm not sure how that function works. We test all the time, specifically asking about Eloqua's SL.
Oh, specifically talking about subject line optimization. Yeah, I think it's not a feature to be honest, is not a feature I've used too much. Most of my clients don't actually have the subject line optimization feature. So it's not something that I would probably be best placed to talk about. But
yeah,
we could ask the group, Kristin, and come back on that.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, John, I can put some resources in the follow-up email specifically. And I think next month I think we're going to have someone from Eloqua who will be able to actually speak to that too. I still need to confirm that he's able to attend, but I will get information and include a specific link out in the follow-up email, John, on anything else we have on that. And does anyone else, oh, I have some more Q&A though. Let's see. Does anyone else have any insights here? Open questions. Yeah, John, we absolutely can. So we will look to see what we have on SLO because we do definitely have customers that are using it. I know we do have, and that's typically when we get, the best insights there. So we can bring those to the table. I'll put that on December's agenda. 100%. Thank you. That's a great idea. And I love that you're testing all the time too. That is awesome. Okay. What else we have? Another here. Okay. Anything else? This is great, y'all. I love the questions, the feedback, any ideas for topics. If you don't have them now, I know we'll add SLO to the topic for December. If something else comes up, you can respond to the follow-up email I'll send out later today with the recording. You can reach out to me, let me know. And also, I have to make the plug. If anyone would be interested in, sharing your own tips and tricks in presenting on that or another topic, definitely let me know. We're always interested in, getting our community up front and center with the user group. Let's see. So on that note, looks like no more questions right now. We have our next user group scheduled for Thursday, December 21st. I will send out a reminder about a week prior as usual. Again, any questions, email me. It's kristin.connell@sojournsolutions.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect or DM me there. And yeah, we'll give everyone about 15 minutes back to your day, enough time to get a couple breaks in maybe before your next meeting, probably. So Steve, thank you very much for presenting that solution. Again, I love it. I want to actually do it for us here at Sojourn. So I'll be reaching out to you on the side and we'll get it set up. And everyone else, have a great rest of your day. Great week, and we'll talk to you again in December. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.